All right, it's 5:30. We'll call the December 7th Planning Commission meeting to order. Call the roll, please.
Barnett. Bauman.
Here.
Tamakis.
Yes.
Fagan. Gates. Hochhalter.
Here.
Iverson.
Here.
Coop. Leiter.
Here.
Nestle. Offerdahl.
Yes.
Sessions.
Yes.
And Wagonist.
Yes. Looks like a quorum to me. Rise for the pledge. Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Approval of the November 2nd, 2021 minutes. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Offerdahl. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bauman. Any discussion on the minutes? Hearing and seeing none, we'll call a roll.
Barnett.
Yes.
Bauman.
Yes.
Tamakis. Gates.
Yes.
Hochhalter.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Leiter.
Yes.
Offerdahl.
Yes.
Sessions.
Yes.
And Wagonist. All right.
Good, motion carries, minutes are approved. Agenda item number 5 and number 6 are on the abbreviated version plan, so we'll turn it over to staff for agenda item number 5 first.
Thank you, Chairman Demakis, members of the commission. So item 5 is a public hearing request on an application from James M. Thompson, personal rep for the estate of William G. Shriok, Jr., owner, that proposes the creation of 2 outlots via outlot plat. The proposed lots, to be known as Outlot 8 and 9, are both part of an unplatted portion of land located in the southwest quarter of Section 8, Township 155 North, Range 82 West, Ward County, North Dakota. The proposed outlots are located at 1900 27th Street Northeast.
Very good. With that, then we will open the public hearing if anybody is present that wishes to speak on agenda item number 5. Is there anybody that wishes to speak? All right, seeing none, we'll close the hearing and I'll turn over the commission. Is there a motion on number 5?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Leiter to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Offerdahl. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, then we will call the roll.
Barnett.
Yes.
Bauman.
Yes.
Tamakis.
Yes.
Gates.
Yes.
Hochhalter.
Yes.
Iverson.
Yes.
Leiter.
Yes.
Offerdahl.
Yes.
Sessions.
Yes.
And Wagonist.
Yes.
All right.
Peter, you see Commissioner Barnett arrived a little late.
Oh, yeah, I called you. My mistake. Barnett.
Here.
Here, yeah.
Or yes.
Motion carries. Agenda item number 6, another outlot plat request.
Thank you, Chairman Demakis, members of the commission. Item number 6 is the public hearing request on an application from Mark Agner, owner, for the creation of 2 outlots to be known as Outlots 6 and 7. The property is legally known as the east 340 feet of the north 640.05 feet of the northeast quarter of Section 15, Township 155 North, Range 82 West, Ward County, North Dakota. The proposed outlots are located at 1761 72nd Street Northeast.
Thank you, Mr. Van Dyke. With that, we'll open the public hearing. Is there anybody present that wishes to speak on item number 6, either for or against? Anybody present that wishes to speak? Very good. Seeing none then, we will close the public hearing on number 6 and turn it over to the commission for a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Offerdahl to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Sessions. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none then, we will call the roll.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Demakis, Gates,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Sessions,
Yes.
and Wagonist.
Yes.
All right.
Motion carries. Very good. Item number 7 is a zoning map amendment and planned unit development amendment, and I believe there's a little change with item number 7. If you could address that, Mr. Van Dyke.
Thank you, Chairman Demakis, members of the commission. So the applicant is requesting this item be tabled to the January 4th, 2022 meeting at 5:30 PM. They have an additional item as well that they would be presenting at that time. So for efficiency's sake, they'll be here for both items in January. So as far as guidance, we'd open the public hearing, take any testimony if there is any, and leave it open. And then staff's recommendation is that we just table it until January 4th, 2022 at 5:30 PM. So the date and time is important to include within that motion, if the commission's amenable to that. As well, I'll give my staff's presentation at the January 4th meeting if that works for the Planning Commission.
Very good. Okay. All right. Well, since it's been noticed and as Mr. Van Dyke indicated, we will open the public hearing if there is any comment at this time.
So the meeting is instead going to be for January 4th, talking about the Homemakers Edition.
Correct. This would be moved to the January 4th meeting. Can you come forward, please?
I have a question about the rezoning. There was mention about rezoning.
Okay.
What would be the rezoning plan?
Can you please sign in there with your name and information? I believe we're on the wrong item here.
Right.
There's no rezoning on this one.
There is a rezoning on this one.
There is?
It's
Oh, I'm
both
sorry.
an amendment to the existing PUD, simultaneously adding a PUD overlay to an existing C2 general commercial district property to the east.
Okay.
So it's both a zoning map amendment and amendment to the existing PUD.
Can you,
I can give a brief summary over that.
thank you.
So when Blue on Broadway was approved, one of the restrictions or conditions that was placed on the property was related to the commercial uses. They're restricted to 30% of office use on the first floor commercial, and that was largely tied to the reduction in parking stalls that were provided on site. Again, as part of their second phase, they were intending to provide additional parking and further development to the east of First Avenue Southeast. And this parking lot would effectively act as the, no pun intended, paving the way for that second phase. So this is just part of it. They want to use these 10 stalls that they're proposing to add with this parking lot to remove the condition related to the 30% office occupancy for the commercial space, so that they can allow a salon or like use to occupy that without any restriction.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Ma'am, if you would please, real quick, come back up. Please sign in with your name and address so we have it for the record.
Is there a pen?
Don, do you have a pen for?
There we go.
And since the matter's been asked to be tabled, the full report will be given at the January 4th meeting, and hearing will be continued, if I am correct.
Still open though for, of course, anybody from the
Right.
public.
Right.
Yeah. So it'll be on the record and taken into consideration, even if the final decision is delayed till January.
Okay, well, one of the questions I had was, would that be buildings that would be just as tall as Broadway on Blue? Because that lot is already raised higher than what the houses that are along Main Street. That would be between that and First Street.
Yes, so there's no vertical construction proposed through this. This expansion to the east would include a PUD amendment to effectively expand the existing PUD, so incorporate the parking lot as part of the overall site. So there is no additional buildings proposed at this time.
Okay, but if the zoning changed, would that be something that they'd have to vote on again?
So this PUD would approve the parking lot only. So if they wanted to do any other changes,
Yep.
we'd be sending out notifications again.
And some of the people that were supposed to get the letters did not get them. That man, for example, did not.
Okay, so we send out neighboring property owners within 300 feet within city limits, so we can certainly get your address and see if you fall within that 300 feet, but otherwise, we do send out letters to everybody within 300 feet.
The Adventist Church. It's right next to that parking lot,
Okay,
borders it.
yeah, we'll look into that and see. We did not get a lot of kickbacks like we typically do with the certified mail, so.
Thank you. Anybody else who wishes to comment at this time? And again, it will be open for comment again at the following meeting. All right, seeing none then, we should probably have a motion to table this and continue the public hearing to the January 4, 2022 meeting at 5:30 PM.
I'd like to move to table this item until January 4th, 2022 Planning Commission meeting at the applicant's request.
Very good, we have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Baumann, second by Commissioner Layder.
Chairman Dominguez, can we clarify that that's 5:30 PM? I'm not sure if that was included.
Can I amend my motion to say 5:30 PM?
Yeah.
Thanks.
Very good. So we have a motion, a second, to table the item and continue the hearing to the January 4, 2022 meeting at 5:30 PM. All those in favor, or call the roll, I'm sorry.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Dominguez, Gates,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Sessions,
Yes.
and Wagonist.
Yes.
All right.
Good, motion carries. Item number 8 is a zoning map amendment. It's a request by the applicant Ryan Halstead, representing Dayton Hudson Corporation, also known as Target Corporation, for a zoning map amendment from C4 Planned Commercial to C2 General Commercial with a planned unit development overlay for purposes of an expansion, building expansion. Property is legally known as Lot 7 of Dakota Square addition to the city of Minot, located at 2400 10th Street Southwest. We'll turn it over to staff for the report.
Thank you, Chairman Dominguez, members of the commission. So Target is part of the overall Dakota Square Mall site. The white lines on this map indicate the property boundaries, and the light blue lines denote the property owner notification area. This case is very similar to Shields, which was processed earlier this year. A major modification related to on-site circulation and overall building expansion is prompting the need to bring the property into compliance with the newly adopted land development ordinance. The equivalent zone for C4 planned commercial, which this site is presently zoned, is C2 general commercial with a PUD overlay. The future land use map denotes the subject property as commercial. So we'll go over some of the modifications. So the modifications to the site include a 24,434 square foot building expansion along the front entry and west facade. This expansion is realigning the broader circulation patterns for the property So I'll kind of bounce back and forth between some of these slides just so you can see some of the deviations between the on-site circulation and parking. So these are the proposed modifications. Again, I'll go back and forth. If you notice, the parking to the west is being removed to accommodate the expansion and expand some landscaping. Again, the on-site circulation is going to be straightened out a bit. The overall design, at least from an aerial perspective, is going to look very similar. So, one last time. So landscaping improvements along the north facade of the building will include planter boxes and foundation plantings. Parking lot end caps and expansion of the landscape area along the west, as I previously noted. Will increase the pervious coverage of the site from approximately 8.19% that exists today to 9.92%. So through this project, this equates to approximately 6,600 square foot of additional pervious coverage that's going to be added through this expansion. Another major change, really operationally for Target, is to expand their online order and pickup accommodations on site. So the parking is proposed to be reduced overall to accommodate the expansion, but overall, Target's analysis of the site is ultimately that while they're losing parking stalls, the incorporation of these drive-up online order and pickup stalls will offset any of those losses. Obviously, the elevations. So here's the existing elevation Target. And here's the proposed elevations. So the front of the store would be on the north. And then here's some of the others. I'm going to go through these elevations. Target did submit a late exhibit or late minor adjustments. And so compared to what's provided in the staff report, I'm going to highlight each of the changes. But I'm going to hand these out to you so you have them. Just give me a minute to pass these out.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
So when I say minor changes, I do mean minor. As you can see, what was included in the staff report on top versus what's provided in late exhibit. There's just some different entryway alterations. And we've highlighted those, of course, in the yellow circles and the blue circles, just to kind of bring attention to the changes. They're very minor, but nonetheless, as I go through these, I want to make sure that you have the most up-to-date information, that any motion for approval, if there is one, that would include this version of what's proposed by Target. Here's the north elevation. South elevation. And the east elevation. And here's the west elevation. So here are the findings of fact. In short, the applicant has submitted a complete application. The proposal meets the requirements of the PUD overlay. And the Minot Planning Commission has the authority to hear the case and provide recommendations to the council. And as I previously mentioned, so we're recommending approval of the application. So the recommendation on screen includes reference to late Exhibit 8. And staff asked that any recommendation aligning with ours should use the one on screen versus the one included in staff's written report. And with that, staff will stand for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Van Dyke. Is there any questions for staff? Seeing and hearing none, then we will move to the public hearing. If there is anybody here who wishes to speak on agenda item number 8, please come forward and give us your name, sign in, and the floor is yours.
Hi, I'm Ryan Hilstead. I'm here on behalf of Target Corporation. I work for Kimley Horn. I'm the project consultant,
Thank you, sir.
and I'm available for any questions.
Okay. Is there any questions from the commission for the applicant? Seeing and hearing none, then, I think we'll let you know if we need you, Ryan.
Sounds good.
Is there anybody else present that wishes to speak on agenda item number 8? Very good. Well, seeing none, we will close the public hearing then. Turn it over to the commission for a motion.
Motion to approve based on staff finding of fact and recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Wagnus. Motion to approve. Is there a second?
I will second that.
Second from Commissioner Iverson. Any discussion?
Chairman Demakis, if
Just
I
a
could,
second.
I'm sorry, can I just clarify that the first included the late Exhibit 8?
I'll amend my motion to include the late exhibit.
Thank you very much.
And you're going to second it?
Very good. Commissioner Baumann, do you have some?
I just want to commend the applicant and our planning staff on making use of some of the tools that are available in our new zoning code to increase permeability or permeable surfaces in our community. That's going to help with stormwater runoff management. I think it also really capitalizes on a space that we already have taxable income coming in from, and we're expanding upon that without making Target or other large retailers build elsewhere off-site. So I'm very, very pleased with the project, and I'm excited that it can move forward.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Anything further discussion-wise? All right, seeing and hearing none, then we'll call the roll.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Demakis, Gates,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Sessions,
Yes.
and Wagonist. All right.
Motion carries. Item number 9 is subdivision plat, rezoning amendment, and variance on an application from Larry Gullickson on behalf of Gary Oakland for a subdivision plat to rearrange platted lots as part of River Oaks 4th Edition to create River Oaks 6th Edition. As part of the subdivision plat, the applicant seeks to vary from the subdivision design standards set forth in section 10.3-3C related to the allowable length of a dead-end street from 500 feet to approximately 1,000. Further, they're proposing a change from zoning R1 single-family residential and R2 two-family residential district to solely R1 single-family residential. The legal description of the proposed plat is all of River Oaks 4th less River Oaks 5th, Township 155 North, Range 82 West, City of Minot, Ward, County, North Dakota. The property includes numerous lots within River Oaks 4th Edition along River's Edge Drive Southeast, 19th Avenue Southeast, and 45th Street Southeast. With that, we will hear the report from staff.
Right. Thank you, Chairman Demakis. So, for once, I don't actually have some clever little way to kind of show you, give you better rough ideas to where this is, other than it's across it's on the north bank of the Source River. So, let's go right into it then with the aerial view. So looking at the aerial view of the property, we can see the 300-foot notification area, city limits. Notably on this, lots 6 and 13 on there from block 2, so the ones in the middle more so, it goes around the through the middle around the outside is where 45th Avenue Southeast was platted. As part of this, it will be going away. because it's currently a platted road, it's just right of way right now. And that goes right into then the preliminary plat. So aside from the removal of 46th Street, southeast, there's proposed 57 lots that are part of the subdivision, and versus the original one, which was 116. See, so overall, it's shrinking by about 59 units. Though, now, important thing to note on this actually is an easement that is on the far end of 19th Avenue Southeast. So there's an easement there shown as some dotted lines on the map, which will be indicating when the development to the east develops, actually, that cul-de-sac will be turning into just a through road, ideally. So that's allowing it to actually go and expand out that way. So it won't be a dead end in the future. It's allowing that to actually be able to be designed for. And overall, the subdivision does meet all of the required standards for a subdivision, except for section 10.3-3C related to the dead end roads and how long they can be related to the beginning of a cul-de-sac. Going into the existing zoning of the property, the vast majority of it is zoned as R1 single-family residential. It's going to be staying as that, with the exception of the area in the middle, which is R2, two-family residential, and that actually is going to be shrinking quite a bit in size for actual properties overall, where it's going from 38 to 11 lots. But beyond that, the zoning for the properties really won't be changing. Looking at the future land use map for the property, it's largely, I would say, designated as low-density residential, and the rest of it is as designated as the conceptual Greenway connection. So with that, there really isn't much in the way of any density requirements we have in that, but the area that is being rezoned, so it's a little sliver of that middle area that is actually covered by low-density residential, it does meet the density requirements to do so. Now, moving to the variance itself, staff finds that there is grounds to actually go and support a variance in the form of the topography in the site, because there is significant topographic changes within 500 feet of the cul-de-sac, which I'll have up on screen in a little bit, that would greatly limit the feasibility of providing additional connection to bring the development into strict compliance. And so what I mean by that is, with that, well, first off, let's go into a site photo. So this is kind of showing off some of the topography off in the distance. So you look in the middle of the photo off to the left, you can actually see the hills off the distance, and that's where proposed 19th Avenue Southeast will be going through. Now, looking at the topography, I actually took two of the exhibits. It was Exhibit 1, the aerial photo, and Exhibit 7, the topography, and actually overlaid them. So you see actually how significant the topography is, especially within 500 feet, which I denoted on the slide. So within that, where the road itself is, it's fairly gradual, but going within that 500 feet, it gets fairly steep or across the distance to River's Edge Drive, it could be 40, 50 feet in drop from the road up there to where it actually be coming out. And so it's also good to note here is that looking at where lots 6 and 13 are, or where the road used to come out, that was actually further than that 500 feet, so it would still not be in compliance with it, with how it was for that section of code. It would, guess with that really, it would just be out of compliance still regardless. With this variance, it would bring the new development into compliance where the existing one actually is not. Now, we did have a public comment on this, and I'll read it out loud. It's from Jeff Ryder, one of the local, or Ritter, as it might be, one of the local residents. He said, "I will not be able to physically attend this planning commission meeting. I appreciate the opportunity to give my voice. I live on the very edge of the proposed subdivision/changes. I'm fine with it changing from R1 and R2 to R1 only. I am not in support of the application for a variance concerning section 10.3-3C related to the allowable length of a dead-end street from 500 feet to 1,000 feet. The proposed subdivision needs another ingress/egress. River's Edge Drive is very narrow and cannot support such traffic and congestion. Additionally, and most of all, with the creation, well, this will create fire/emergency risks that are unwarranted. I'm an ex-realtor and currently a commercial banker, and I've been involved in several dozen residential subdivision developments over my 30-plus year and still ongoing career. I'm telling you, there needs to be at least one more street providing ingress/egress to the subdivision at a minimum. Safety hazards and traffic congestion dictate, yes, the safety hazards and traffic congestion dictates. If this variance is allowed, my house will be on the market immediately and I will be leaving mine on. I expected a subdivision at some point, but I did not expect thoroughfare and excessive safety risks. I didn't spend $500,000 on a home for such. Thank you for your thoughtful consideration. These rules exist for a reason. Jeff Ritter. So looking at that, actually, I will go and wind it back to the previous slide looking at the topography. So with that, and we kind of touched on this already, the overall density of the development is going to be decreasing dramatically from where it was. Where it was, 116 different lots, it's now going to be 57. As far as the existing distances on that, so again, 500 is the green line, going out to where the current platted 45th Street Southeast is. That's about 615 feet, and they're proposing going to roughly 1,000 feet from the cul-de-sac. So they're going from the cul-de-sac shown on the screen to just above where it says 1560 for the elevation on there. So as it stands right now, the development actually would be more of a concern if they were to build exactly as they're allowed to today. They'd have higher density. It wouldn't have a provision at all to go out and actually have a through street there, because that cul-de-sac would just be ending, and that's as far as that would go. So just through the very nature of how this is actually being platted, it is addressing a lot of the concerns that Mr. Ritter had. I believe it's Ritter. And yeah, so with that cul-de-sac, it will actually be going through, ideally, to Sunset Ridge Southeast. That's a road that's just off to the east whenever that property were to develop. So this is well, not going to say this is a short-term solution, because it could be 20 plus years before it ultimately develops. But as it's proposed, it would address his concerns, I believe, significantly. And with that, then, we have the findings of fact. It is able to meet low-density standards where it actually needs to. It meets R1 single-family residential zoning. And there were topographic grounds to go and actually support a variance in staff's opinion. So for a recommendation, staff recommends Planning Commission adopt staff findings of fact and recommend approval to City Council of the River Oaks 6th Edition plat and request for a zoning map amendment for Block 3 from R2 two-family residential district to R1 single-family residential district. Further, staff recommends approval of the requested variance from Section 10.3-3C to increase the allowable length of the dead-end cul-de-sac from 500 feet to approximately 1,000 feet, subject to the following conditions. First of which is a developer's agreement, which is required prior to the recording of the plat, with requirements including but not limited to a revised/amended stormwater management plan that would be required for future development, a subdivision plan that's required for development, connection fees that would be required for future development at a rate of $3,787 per acre, a roadway that shall be a standard urban section including sidewalks. Floodplain ordinance requirements must be met with lot markers set for no build easements. And then just our normal boilerplate subdivision language. They have 6 months from recommended approval by city council to go and get it recorded. If they don't within that time frame, then the subdivision would expire. So if you have any questions for me, I'll stand for them.
Any questions for staff?
I have a question.
Commissioner Wagnus.
Peter, with the recent public comment, have the city departments taken a second look at Mr. Reeder's concerns?
So I did examine them with the plat, and so looking at it, I kind of thought that he wasn't quite maybe aware of how the subdivision that was already out there.
Okay.
And so, because with that, there was no through road plan that existed beyond 45th Street Southeast, which would be going away as part of this plat, but that still wouldn't quite address the concerns as far as it actually providing another access through there at the moment. And that wouldn't be changing, it'd be more density with how it is now, so it'd actually be a lot more traffic on his street than there would be with the proposed development. So we have taken a look at it, and because it seems like this would be a better alternative for him based off his comment.
Thank you. Any further questions for staff? All right, hearing none, we will open the public hearing. Is there anybody who wishes to speak on agenda item number 9? Either for or against? Seeing none, then we will close the public hearing and we'll turn it over to the commission for a motion.
Make a motion to approve based on staff finding of fact and condition, or recommendations.
We have a motion to approve by Commissioner Wagonist based on findings of facts and recommendations. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Barnett. Any discussion?
I do have a question, and I'm not sure if the commission or staff would be able to answer or just kind of take care of it. I actually was out in this area visiting maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Will there be upgrades to roadways and traffic flow out there? I'm a little worried that I think I share concerns about the ingress and egress road, and I worry a little bit of that not lining up with our comprehensive plan transportation guidelines and just kind of stuff there. So I guess I don't know who to ask this to, but are there any other options for additional traffic, or is this kind of like once this is approved, it's done and the road that exists there now will continue to be used for all of these additional homes that will be there?
Chairman Demakis, Commissioner Bauman. So this entire proposed subdivision is happening within existed platted ground.
Right.
So as it stands, you'd have to, the closest road would be directly north of the development. And I'll pull it up on the screen. But you'd have to more or less go through someone's house to actually connect to another road right now. Otherwise, they'd have to go buy out the property to the east and redevelop that one, so there really isn't much alternative right now other than providing the easement to turn that cul-de-sac into a through road in the future to connect to a future development.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate that clarification.
As long as I'm going.
Thank you. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chair,
Yep.
I too share those concerns as far as the density of traffic. And, I've driven out there, those roads are not good and they're narrow. And to add an additional 57 properties, I wonder if there is a way to go ahead and approve it from the R1, R2 to R1, but maybe hold off on the approval for the 100, the 500 to 1,000 feet. Is there a way to do that, to take another look, to have somebody go out and maybe speak with?
Well, the motion as it currently stands on the floor is approval of the variance and the subdivision plat, which needs to be acted on. That is the current motion on the floor. Anything further will be dictated after the fact.
All right.
And so Chairman Demakis, if I may then, as well, if the variance were to be denied, the existing subdivision plat that they proposed wouldn't be in alignment with the subdivision code as it is. So that would probably end up changing staff's recommendation on that to a denial, as it wouldn't be able to meet code if that were actually done, because then it would, they'd have about 1,000 feet of dead end where they can only have 500.
Right.
So to approve the rezoning would be to, at the same time, look at approving the subdivision, which can really, because though that's really rezoning just that block, which doesn't exist without the subdivision. And so the variance would have to go along in hand with the rezoning and the subdivision all at the same time.
I see. Thank you.
Anything further? Okay, hearing none, we'll call the roll.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Demakis, Gates,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Sessions,
Yes.
and Wagonist. All right.
Motion carries. Last item on tonight's agenda is a request on an application from Larry Gullickson, representing Oakland Communities, for a subdivision plat to combine two outlots into one, known as Jefferson South Edition. Further, a request is made for a variance to the requirements under 2.12-6H related to a 30-foot buffer yard surrounding the perimeter of a manufactured home park, and the requirements of 2.12-6L related to the required private road width of 36 feet. The applicant requests relief from the buffer yard requirement along the north, west, and south boundaries of the property from 30 feet to 10, and to reduce the private street width from 36 to 24 feet. The legal description the legal description of the proposed plat is outlots 13 and 14 and half vacated 13th Avenue Southeast of Section 29, Township 155, Range 82, City of Minot, Ward County, North Dakota, currently unaddressed and located approximately 650 feet from the south of the intersection of 11th Avenue Southeast and 35th Street Southeast. So we will turn over to staff for the report.
Thank you, Chairman Demakis. So overall, like you said, this case is a subdivision and a variance request. As a separate application to this that wouldn't be going through Planning Commission, they're also doing a street vacation for 13th Avenue Southeast in that area. So just as that factors into the subdivision ultimately. So going into the subdivision, and the aerial plat, I'll note first off, this is southeast of the Public Works building. You can see that actually on the map in the upper left-hand corner. So on the map, I noted the portion of 13th Avenue to be vacated. So as part of the subdivision, they will actually be including half of that vacated 13th Avenue within the proposed Jefferson South addition. And there's not much else in that screen. Looking at the preliminary plat then, so then you can see the half of the vacated right-of-way. You can see the outlots, the overall dimensions of Lot 1 of Jefferson South Edition does meet the bulk requirements to be zoned as manufactured home district. And yeah, not much else there. So looking at the existing zoning, the property is currently zoned MH. That's, again, the manufactured home district designation. And the property to the south, which even though it is a manufactured home park, is currently zoned as C2 General Commercial District. Now looking at the future land use map designation of the property, the vast majority of the property that is actually involved with this subdivision is currently designated as manufactured home park, with the exception of the right-of-way, which doesn't currently have a designation. That would be something that would be covered with the comprehensive plan update that's in the beginning steps right now. So looking at some site photos then for it.
So this is from 35th Street Southeast, so the street that's going directly along the east of the property. You can see the north property line in the form of the fence going towards the back of the photo, and the tree lines / shrubs in the background are actually the rear property line of the proposed subdivision. Now, looking at the applicable variance criteria, staff actually found that 4 of the 6 criteria really were applicable for the variance request. The first was section 9.1-3G1, which was related to the shape and size of the property. We found that this request does arise from conditions of exceptional shallowness or shape of the specific piece of property. And it's due to the size of the property, which, while it does meet the requirements, there's some issues with layout, well, not with layout, but with overall dimensional dimensions and other standards that be met as part of a manufactured home district that prevent strict compliance with the land development ordinance as a result. Another one was section 9.1-3G3 related to exceptional practical difficulties, which with the small size of the lot causing these difficulties, actually, if we were to apply all the requirements from the MH district, it would actually end up being in violation of several other regulations to meet the 2 that they requested variances from. And so to kind of illustrate that point, I brought up the site plan that they provided. So this is a layout provided to us by the applicant, actually, which would be showing their reasonable use of the property. And also takes into account the proposed variance request and the proposed vacation of that section of 13th Avenue Southeast. So as it stands right now, the MH zoning has a maximum impervious lot coverage of 35%. This layout, as it stands with everything taken into account, is at that 35%. So if we were to, for instance, have the road go and be extended out to the 36 feet that would be required for a private road in MH Park, it would be significantly over that percentage, be closer to 46% lot coverage. So to have them follow that would make them be in violation of that. Otherwise, with the buffers, because they were requesting of reduction of the buffer on the northwest and south side for the landscape buffers that would be required. With that, if those were on there, you'd have to essentially start going and removing different mobile homes and change the entire layout. Because you could have it on there, but you'd have to essentially remove other required setbacks, like the 15-foot setback that'd be required from the private road. Because with that, and the mobile homes they have on there, which are 42 feet in length, you wouldn't have room to actually fit them on there with the current layout at all, really. It would be in violation of either the buffer yard or a setback or the overall lot coverage. Without drastically changing the layout, there's really not a way to have this property go and follow of all of the requirements. You can get this layout if you just vary from the 2 they requested. And you change it too much, and you really could have just been left with the existing outlots and just have a mobile home or 2 on them. So then we also found, in addition to the first 2 sections, was that it also aligned with section 9.1-3G5, which is related to the character and the property rights of the nearby neighborhood. So overall, with the neighborhood, it's all mobile home around it. Everything's either zoned for it or it's an existing mobile home park. And none of these parks actually, they're older, they don't have any of the landscape buffers or anything that we require now. So with the landscape buffers being required even in the reduced fashion as the applicant requested, it would still ultimately be a major kind of increase to the character of the neighborhood. It would be more beautifying than it would be right now, where it's a grassy field with a fence around it. And then section 9.1-3G6 relate to the comprehensive plan. Staff actually found that the comprehensive plan supports the requested variance through Housing Goal 2 Policy 2, which
is to promote creative use of site planning, building design, and flexible development of infill lots to increase density and provide greater housing opportunities. So what the applicant ended up doing was they did their own creative subdivision design and provided a much higher density than what outlots 13 and 14 would have been able to support by themselves if there were two individual mobile home lots. However, again with this density in alignment with this goal overall wouldn't be able to be met without the variance, because you wouldn't be able to fit their proposed subdivision or the layout on the property at all. So going through the findings of fact, it's everything I went through so far in the presentation. So I'll skip right to the recommendation. So staff recommends the Planning Commission adopt the staff findings of fact and recommend approval to City Council of the Jefferson South Edition preliminary plat and approve the request to reduce the minimum width of the private road and manufactured home park from 36 feet to 24 feet and to reduce the required buffer yard widths on the north, south, and west sides from 30 feet to 10 feet, subject to the following conditions. The first is a developer's agreement, which would be required prior to the recording of the plat and will include the following things, but not limited to a stormwater management plan, which would be required for future development, a subdivision plan, connection fees at the same $3,787 per acre, and they'd have to process to address water and sewer connections in the event of a future parcel sale and need for a new water meter. And then the second condition is, again, the boilerplate. They have 6 months recorded after City Council approves it, and if they don't, it'll expire. I guess with that, I'll stand for questions.
Thank you, Peter. Is there any questions for staff? Very good. Seeing and hearing none, then we will open the public hearing. Is there anybody present who wishes to speak on agenda item number 10, either for or against? Anybody who wishes to speak? Okay, seeing none, the public hearing is closed, and we'll turn it to the commission for a motion.
I'll move to approve based on staff recommendations and findings of fact.
Thank you, Commissioner Baumann. Motion to approve based on staff finding of fact and recommendation. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second from Commissioner Sessions. Any discussion? Seeing and hearing none, then we will call the roll.
Barnett,
Yes.
Bauman,
Yes.
Demakis, Gates,
Yes.
Hochhalter,
Yes.
Iverson,
Yes.
Leiter,
Yes.
Offerdahl,
Yes.
Sessions,
Yes.
and Wagonist. All right.
Very good. Motion carries. And with that, we are at the end of the agenda, and we are adjourned. Thank you all.